Hey everybody, we are here to talk about empowerment today. We have been talking about purpose the last month. This month we're going to be talking about empowerment. So I want you to stop and think of the very first time you ever felt empowered. You got that in your head? Maybe it was in grade school, maybe it was when you're in your 20s. For me it was in 5th grade. I was in the 5th grade when my 4th grade teacher, the previous year teacher, came and got me out of the classroom and took me to her classroom. She told me that she had something she had to do in the office and she needed me to keep order in her classroom. So she put me in charge of 4th graders. I was less than a year older than them and I was in charge of the 4th grade classroom. But what she did was she saw some qualities in me, some leadership qualities in me, and she empowered me. That was the first time I remember being empowered, when I was in the 5th grade. I have a friend that recently told me her story of first time empowerment, and it was when she was in the 2nd grade. And a friend of hers, a 2nd grade playwright, had written an original play and invited her, cast her in that play. And she remembers thinking she saw something in her that was special and she must have what she needs to do this. And she was empowered to be in that play, take a role in that play. Your boss empowers you when he puts you in charge of a project. He gives you both the power and the authority you need to fulfill that project. That's empowerment, right? When we have the power and the authority to fulfill a project. That's what the teacher did for me. That's what the 2nd grade playwright did for my friend. And they do it with language. They empower us with language. Well, 50,000 times a day. 50,000 times a day. That's what the researchers tell us. 50,000 times a day, we talk to ourselves. That's how often we talk to ourselves. And 80% of that, 40,000 times a day, is negative. I should have said that, or she doesn't like me, or I'm never going to get this done, or I can't, I'm not, I'm never, I'm always. You know what it is. You've heard all those words. 40,000 times a day, we disempower. I don't know if that's a word, but we disempower ourselves. So I want us to talk about a handful of things to do today to stop that, to stop the disempowering that we're doing ourselves, the way we're taking away our own power and authority with our words. So number one, let's stop believing everything we hear. Stop believing everything we hear. There's a neuroscientist and psychiatrist, Daniel Amen, who says, don't believe everything you hear, even in your own mind. So most of the negative thoughts in our brains are not based on truth. They come from our imagination. So stop believing everything we hear. In other words, let's ask ourselves some questions. Is this thought helping or hurting me? That's a great question to ask. Is it getting me closer to where I want to go or taking me farther away? Is it motivating me to action or is it blocking me with fear and self-doubt? Those are great questions to ask in order to stop believing what we hear ourselves saying. The second thing we can do is talk back. Brene Brown, my favorite and probably your favorite research professor out of the University of Houston, tells a story about her daughter Ellen. Ellen was in the glitter center in kindergarten, obviously playing with the glitter. And her teacher turned around and said to Ellen, "Ellen, you're a mess." To which Ellen, this kindergartner, responded, "I am making a mess. I am not a mess." In other words, she talked back. So when you hear those messages that say, "I'm a mess," talk back 40,000 times a day. I am not a mess. I might be making a mess, but I am not a mess. Object to that language you hear in your head. So stop believing everything you hear and then talk back. And then finally, I would say pick a few words or phrase or a couple phrases that you use all the time. You hear yourself say it all the time. Maybe it's the phrase, "I can't," or "I should." See, "I can't" implies I have no control over it, right? Or "I should" implies that the choice has already been made for me. Maybe it's "life is hard," or it's "if only." Something you repeat all the time that you know is a phrase that's not moving you to where you want to go, that it's disempowering you. And begin to eliminate that phrase from your vocabulary. Well, those are 3 ideas for us to stop the things that we're doing to disempower ourselves, the ways that we're using language to get in the way of our own empowerment, our own power and authority. Try them this week and see how they work for you. I'm Michelle Gooch with Life by Design. I'm here Wednesdays at 1. I've changed the time recently, so Wednesdays at 1, and for the next 3 weeks, we will be talking about empowerment and different pieces of that big conversation. At Life by Design, we know you want to live by your design, on purpose, with intention. We know you want to be the best version of yourself. And so often we no longer know who we are, and that gets in the way. When you don't know who you are, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to second guess yourself. And I just don't believe any of us need to go through life second guessing ourselves. And in fact, I know what that's like. I've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, right? I know what it's like to second guess yourself to a place of feeling paralyzed, immobilized. And that's why I developed a framework to get us from this place of second guessing to a place of at least headed to where we want to go. So you can find me at lifebydesign.guru if you're interested in that. lifebydesign.guru. I'll see you next Wednesday.